Let's go ahead and start. So we are on part 2 of this webinar. Again, it's a pleasure to be here, and I'd like to welcome everyone to this second phase of the webinar. For those of you who are just joining us, please note that we are recording the session. Please also note that the session is being translated in French and Spanish, and you will see in the bottom of your screen an icon for interpretation. You can select the language of your choice through this icon. If you decide to stay in the original language, you will hear the presentations in English. All the presentations are in English, but if there are questions that are in French or Spanish, you will hear those in French and Spanish. So if you want to hear the entire session in English, then please go on the interpretation and select English. So here is our agenda for part 2. Here we will first hear from the CGAP partners that have led the exercise with the institutions for both the automation of credit renewal and also for the business intelligence. So we will hear from Thomas Carrier from Rubix for the automation of credit renewal. And we will hear from Kay Nyang for the business intelligence. And we will also have the opportunity to hear from 2 institutions that have participated in the CGAP pilots. So we will hear from Peter Okondiyan from Action Microfinance Bank in Nigeria, and from Imran Ahmed from Shakti in Bangladesh. After the presentations, as I have mentioned, you will have a chance to pick the breakout room that you want to go into to discuss further either the credit automation or the business intelligence. So again, before we get started, we'd like to get a sense again of who is in the room. So we know that some of you have already answered these questions in part 1, but the composition of the audience has changed. So we'd like to get a feel for that. So we'll take a few minutes for those same polls that we did in part 1 of the session. Really quick polls. Again, to join the polls, either scan the QR code that is here on your screen or go to the web and type in slido.com and then put CGAP2 for the code to enter those polls. And the first poll is, again, who are you? So we saw that in part 1, we had mostly microfinance providers, and we're interested in seeing if that is still the case for this part of the webinar. So we'll take just a few minutes for this.
And just for everyone that answered before, this is a new poll. So if you were in the other one, you have to close that window and then join this one.
Thank you, Danielle. Okay, 30 seconds more. Great. Thank you so much for your answers. So we have, if you can go up, Danielle. Okay, so we have still about half of the room that is microfinance providers, and then the next biggest group is technical assistance providers. So this session is, of course, very relevant for you. And thanks again for answering the question and for all of you for participating. Next, we want to know how you support MFI digitization. So, of course, if you're a microfinance provider, we do have the option of NA as well. This is looking more at external support, but please go ahead. And the big categories, again, for these answers are technical assistance, which encompasses a broad range of technical assistance offering, including strategic advice to tech support to capacity building. And then we have funding and facilitating partnerships. Okay, 30 more seconds and we will close this poll and move on. Okay, great. So thanks again so much. We have an overwhelming majority of technical assistance support. So that's great to see. And then quite a bit of facilitating partnerships as well, and some funding, diversified funding sources. Okay, so let's next go to the speakers, please. Great, so here are distinguished speakers for part 2 of the webinar. Thomas Carrier is the co-founder of Rubix. Rubix is a global startup that specializes in development of digital credit portfolios for micro-entrepreneurs and SMEs in emerging markets. He's been a key project partner for the credit renewal automation pilots and has also supported a number of institutions in their business intelligence capability as part of the project to measure the results of their pilots. Then we'll hear from Peter Okordion, who is the head of the Project Management Office, Analytics and Quality Assurance at Axion Microfinance Bank in Nigeria. AMFB Nigeria has been participating in the project since the very beginning on both pilots. We'll hear then from Kay Nian, who is also a key project partner. She is an experienced data analyst who's been supporting MFIs in their efforts to build a strong business intelligence practice. And last, we will hear from Imran Ahmed, who is the Deputy Executive Director of the Shakti Foundation for Disadvantaged Women in Bangladesh. Shakti has also been participating in the project from the beginning in the business intelligence pilots. So now I will hand it over to Thomas and let him share some of Rubix's experience and how Rubix has been supporting the pilot MFIs and what is Rubix's approach to automating credit decisions. So Thomas, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Isabel. Hello, everyone. Very nice to be here. So as Isabel said at Rubix, so we are fintech focusing on supporting financial institutions in leveraging the data they have about their customers with a focus on business and behavioral data to create new product, new customer experiences, and extract more value out of this data. So in a nutshell, how do we do that? We basically get the data from you, from the financial institutions, by supporting you in building extractions from your system following a predefined data model. And then we get that data, we structure it, we verify the reliability of the data, and then we store it to be able to run our scoring algorithms based on behavioral analytics to segment your customer portfolio in different classes based on the quality of the behavior, right? Once we have these classes, we can then generate automated loan decisions, automated loan offers tailored to each customer with a specific amount for loan renewal for each of these eligible customers. And then along the way, we optimize the scoring strategies by continuously monitoring the performance and adjusting the configuration of the algorithm and the way we are making people eligible. Next slide, please. So just a quick view on our platform. So we have different modules on our platform. which can be used or not depending on the projects. But basically, we have the data warehouse where, as I explained, we get the data, clean it, structure it, verify it, and store it. Out of this data warehouse, we can generate a full set of KPIs and reports on the performance of the institutions. Then we have our decision engine with our credit scoring model and the generation of offers for the eligible customers to the different products we do, as notably the automated renewal. Then we also have a module for loan management, which is used more when we are partnering with non-lenders, but it's less useful when doing a project with financial institutions. And then we have different channels for getting the data out of the platform, basically. So a financial institution can plug in their own BI tools directly to the platform, to the data warehouse, to get the data in their own tools. We have a full API gateway as well for getting the data. We have a web interface where field staff, loan officers, branch managers can log in and see in their portfolio who's eligible to the automated renewal. And we also have a mobile app for borrowers when applicable. Next slide, please. So I will focus on what was the proposition for this specific project with CGAP and the 5 partner institutions. So basically, what we offer is to score all the customers of a portfolio every day, automatically, of course, and provide loan renewal offers to be disbursed without a standard analysis, I would say, to the best customers in the portfolio. So we identify the best customers based on behavioral analytics, and for them, we generate a loan renewal offer that can be disbursed without an analysis. So the different objectives that we have in that project were to anticipate on the renewals and consequently improve the retention of the best customers by proactively offering them renewal opportunities. What I mean here is that usually we make people eligible to the automated renewal a few weeks or even a few months before the maturity of their current loan. So we put the institution in a position of being proactive commercially by notifying the eligible customers of the opportunity of renewing their loan for that specific amount, even before the maturity of the current loan. So when we approach the maturity and we enter that period of time, which is critical commercially, because that's the moment where the customers are going to the competitors for renewing their loans, well, we can notify them, we can stop expecting them to come to the institution to ask for a loan, but offer them the opportunity to get a new loan immediately without a full analysis and a field visit and a loan committee. So we basically, and that's the second objective here, we accelerate the decision-making for loan renewal of the customers who prove their capacity of and willingness to repay the loan. And we see that in the data, right? And we automate that decision-making by using our credit scoring model. We also want to remove tasks with low added value in the renewal process of the best customers to liberate some time for loan officers to improve their productivity. Why I talk about low added value? Because when you have excellent customers on who you have a strong history of repayment, then when you enter a renewal process, you know already that you're going to give them a new loan because you know they are good customers and you want to keep them in your portfolio. But you have to go through the full appraisal because it's just how the process is. And consequently, having loan officers spending a lot of time on these renewals doesn't bring a lot of value. So we want to liberate that time so the loan officers can focus where we need them more: client acquisition, prospection in the field, bigger loan applications, past due recovery, all these tasks where we really need the loan officer to focus on. And last, but very important objective as well, is to encourage good repayment behavior by increasing the customer satisfaction and loyalty through an innovative customer experience. Because basically we're going to transform the loan renewal from taking a few days to a few weeks to just a few hours, to basically say to the customers, the decision has been taken already. You just come to the branch and take your money, right? So we really transform and improve the customer experience. And so by doing so, the customers will want to make sure they keep paying well, because they want to keep the access to this improved customer experience. And even better than that, we even see average customers that are starting to improve their behavior because they see the neighbor getting that really fast renewal and they want to be eligible as well. So they start improving the way they are repaying their loans. Next slide, please. Okay, in terms of implementation, just to give you an overview on how things are done concretely when implementing such project. So we aim at an implementation. So between starting the project to launching the pilot to 3 to 4 months. Okay. So we start with, kickoff initial workshops where we get to know the institutions, we understand the business challenges, the reality, the customer profiles, the level of risk, everything we need to be able to support efficiently the institution. And then we have a big phase of activity which focus on data extraction and setup of the data warehouse. That's very important. That's really the foundation for then any use case related to data, right? So we spend time working with the institution on building the extraction, verifying that the extraction are in the right formats, that the data in the extraction is reliable. That's very important because then we take loan decisions based on that data. So we run a full set of cross-validation between tables just to make sure that all the data is reliable. So many back and forth around data, up to the point where we have automated extractions that are run daily. And so a data warehouse that is updated daily with the last business events. Okay, then we have what we call the scoring strategy design, where basically we have working sessions together where we explain to you our approach, our scoring methodology, and our approach to using data to score clients. We try to avoid as much as possible the black box effect by really explaining to you what statistical logic is applied. And then we explain to you what are the different decisions to be taken to configure the model so it fits your reality, it fits your risk appetite, it fits your business objectives. Once that is done and we agree on the scoring strategy, we implement that on the platform to start having the offers, the loan renewal offers generated every day and updated every day. And then we have another very important part, which is the product and process design, where basically the key question is, once we have the loan renewal offers generated every day for the eligible people in the portfolio, how do we get from there to proper disbursements? So how do we notify the eligible customers? What do we do once an eligible customer comes to the branch for renewal? Can we use any existing digital channel to streamline the disbursement process? All these questions to really build the product and the processes to make that project a reality. And then we have the final phase of pilot preparation, identifying the pilot branches, training the staff to lead to the pilot launch after, as I said, 3 to 4 months. So I think that's it for me for now. We can talk more later, but I hope it gives you already an overview on how we approach the project. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much, Thomas. And there are a lot of questions in the chat, so we don't have time to go through them now. But again, there is that dedicated session later to go through all of these. So now that you have heard the approach, the general approach from Rubik's, we will hear from Peter Okorndrian from Action Microfinance Bank in Nigeria. And Peter will share his experience with the pilots. So Peter, please go ahead.
Thank you very much, Isabel. Just to correct the right pronunciation, is Peter Accordion, and I'm representing ASEAN Microfinance Bank here in Nigeria, Lagos. I would like to start by, please, can you go back to the previous slide? Thank you. So I would like to start by saying a very big thank you to the CGAP team, the CGAP digitization project of 2021. When the opportunity came to us here at ASEAN, it came very timely because for us at ASEAN, we've started already our digital transformation journey some couple of years back. And
Peter, we're having a hard time hearing you. It actually,
and direction,
Peter,
was how to improve on the process efficiency. In addition to that,
Peter, can you hear me?
We also want.
Peter? Peter, we cannot hear you. I think he dropped off. Okay, so let us move to Kay while Peter is reconnecting, and we'll figure out how to get a better connection with Peter. So we'll move to Kay, and we'll basically have following Thomas. So we had the framework for what Thomas did with the group of institutions that were supported in the pilot for the automated credit renewal. Kay will run us through a similar exercise of the steps that she went through to support the cohort of MFIs to improve their business intelligence practice. So Kay, please go ahead.
Hello, Isabel.
Isabel, how you want to do it?
Yes, go ahead. Kay, go ahead. We'll come back to
Yep.
you, Peter, after. We need to make sure your connection is good.
Okay.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. This is Kay, and I handle the data analytics portion for the project, the business intelligence workstream. I would like to begin with the data analytics journey. It is the process that a data analyst goes through to create insightful dashboards and reports. This journey starts with the requirement gathering and ends with the setting the data refresh schedule on the dashboard after the stakeholders review. Let's see the stages involved. First, we begin with the requirements gathering. This is about understanding the needs of the management or the business owners. The analyst must answer three main questions. What is the business problem that we are trying to solve? What data points are needed or required to complete the report? And what data is available? Those answers help guide the process, allowing for the flexibility if certain data points are not available. That is one of the examples. It also helps not just the analysts, but also the stakeholders by aligning the report's format, which is the output, and confirming the delivery method and how often the reports want to get refreshed. Next, we move on to the data availability assessment. The analyst ensures the data points needed are available in the data warehouse, data lake, or data mart, whichever the data infrastructure you use. If all the required data points are not available, the analysts need to decide if there is any replaceable data points which is already in the system, or whether the analysts need to revisit, which is going back to the requirements gathering stage. Next is the most technical step involved in the journey, which is preparing the queries. It is mainly writing code for the data extraction. The analyst could use Python, SQL, R, or sometimes Microsoft Excel or Power BI. Next, we move on to the data visualization. After extracting and cleaning the data, the analysts visualize the findings, various tools, including Power BI, Microsoft Excel, PowerPoint, Tableau, Google Data Studio, those are all the tools that you can use to create charts and graphs that effectively communicate the data. The analysts need to ensure that these visuals reflect the true and fair representation of the data, while ensuring that it's easy to understand. Next, we invite the stakeholders to provide the feedback on the visualization that we have created. And it involves explaining the steps taken, definitions used, assumptions made, and also the main portion of the data analytics journey. We communicate the key insights uncovered. Any concern on the data integrity may require the analyst to check the data available and go back to the requirement stage if required. Next, if everything is okay, find the validation stage, we move on to we move the report into the production. Became a tool for monitoring customer behavior. At this stage, the analyst confirmed the information about the report's refresh frequency, which is how often the reports want to get refreshed, and inform the business owner about if there is any manual intervention required. And we also discuss how we can eliminate those processes. The final stage is publishing. We finalize the report and we present it to a larger audience, possibly including senior management. The format of this presentation vary according to the context and the audience. So if you are circulating the report, you might want to go heavy on the visual as well as text explanation. However, if you are delivering via verbal communication, you may want to reduce the textual content on that. Throughout the journey, the communication is the key portion of the journey, and the data team and the product team must understand each other's requirements and challenges. By integrating the data-oriented approach from the early stage of product planning, organization can make an informed decision or more informed decision by close monitoring of their customer behavior. Next slide, please. Now that we already familiarize ourselves with the data analytics journey, I will walk you through the sequence of the data bootcamp sessions, the detail of the data bootcamp sessions. You can see that the bootcamp sessions is built based on the data analytics journey. We first discuss the requirements in the segmentation session. We prepare the query, and then we prepare the visualization, ending with the communication and publication. During the segmentation session, we discuss how to define customer segments, which is quite obvious, but the devil is in the details. We ask the institution to answer the questions such as who are the digital customers and who are the traditional customers. We then ask the organization to come up with the definitions of digital and traditional customers based on their own operational context. We expect the analysts and the business team to work collaboratively and can come out with those definitions. Once we have got the segment settled, we move on to the query stage where the analysts prepare the query for each dashboard. Next, we have the query output visualized into charts and graphs. Finally, the data analyst invited the stakeholders and discussed the insights uncovered, as well as explaining the assumptions made along the way. This is a stage where the stakeholders will give feedback and new reports requirement to the analyst, and which will make the analyst start over the journey, starting from the requirements gathering stage. Okay, this is the end of my presentation, and we will have the breakout session for business intelligence practice if you are interested in learning more. I will now hand it over to Isabel.
Great, thank you so much, Kay. So you've now all seen kind of the general framework for what was done with each of the different sets of pilots. Now we will switch gears to hearing from the institutions themselves. So we'll go back to Peter from AMFB Nigeria, and we will hear from his experience with the pilot for automating the credit renewals, and then we'll go to Imran at Shakti for the experience with the business intelligence. So Peter, please go ahead. And I think we will turn off the cameras just to save some bandwidth. So please go ahead.
Okay, thank you, Isabel. I hope the audio is good now. So I'll just go straight to the our experience from the pilots. We actually started the pilot preparation January 2022. And after some internal process optimization, because beyond the Rubik scoring platform, we also had to leverage on our existing technologies to deliver the end-to-end solution. So I will pretty much share our experience, what we observed from the pilot we did. Like I said the other time, we started our digital transformation journey, and it was very important that we continue to optimize our processes and also digitize as much as is possible existing process. So when the opportunity to automate our existing renewal loan came, it made a lot of sense, because in our portfolio, we noticed that over about 80% of the loans which we have in our portfolios are repeat loans. It also speaks to customer retention. And we started thinking of how to further improve the productivity of our account officers. So one of the benefits which, or the KPI which we set for ourselves before the project started, we had defined some metrics or some KPIs which we would like to achieve. We wanted to see improvement in the quality of our loans. We also wanted to see the turnaround time improved. Before the pilot, we were doing for repeat loans about 2 days, depending on the documentations that is available by these customers. But if you recall, I said that we have 80% of the disbursement in our portfolio as repeat loans. So what that tells us is we already know these customers. So it was very helpful leveraging on the scoring predictive and analytics tool from Rubik's to identify who are the excellent customers. Management took a decision to automate the disbursement for customers rated as A and B. And when I move to the next slide, I will share a little bit how we implemented our process. But part of what we were able to see, the total turnaround time, please, if you go back to the next slide, the total turnaround time had improved from 2 days to 3 hours. Okay, thank you, you may stay here. Then the account officer productivity, it makes a lot of sense if we automate that at least 80%, 65% of the 80% of the repeat loans, so that the account officers can focus on other aspects like building more relationship with the customers, driving collections, also acquiring new customers. Then of course, the customer satisfactions. Customers are happier. The customers we disbursed to, the feedback we got, they're very happy getting same day loan. So the same day they applied for the loan, they got value, and also without bringing a lot of documentation. Then another thing we observe, the loans we disbursed via this process, when we evaluated the PRO, that is the portfolio at risk, the quality of the loans. We had earlier set a benchmark of 7% for PRO plus 30 days, plus 1 day and plus 30 days. And we realized that for the set of customers we were able to disburse to during this period, the loans, the benchmark, we didn't go beyond that threshold. We achieved 5.3 That also met our expectation. Then, of course, the improving of the process, and then the customer retention. So part of the strategy of the management is to keep our customers keep them active. I mean, give them access to the loans faster. So instead of having these customers go into what we call resting period, then as long as they are paying back on time, we start sending notifications to them to let them know if they continue paying very well, they have the opportunity of getting another offer automatically without going through rigorous evaluation process. If you go to the next slide, I would like to speak a bit how we automated this process here in ASEAN MFB. So like Thomas had earlier explained, we automated the process of extracting the customer data from our core banking system. Then it's uploaded to a cloud-based data warehouse, which Rubik's provided. And on that cloud-based data warehouse, the Rubik's DCs platform will do the scoring. But one more thing we added to this system, because our process, our business is highly driven by the field officers, the account officers. We wanted them to be part of the process. So before the customers are contacted, the account officers have the opportunity of logging on to see the customers that have offers, and then they can decide whether to remove the customers, but they don't have the ability to decide which of the customers should get an offer. They only have ability to say, no, I have more physical updates on this customer. For this reason, this customer shouldn't until I do full evaluation, something. So once that is done, we also introduce some automation with the help of our in-house IT. We automated the process of doing the credit bureau search. Here in Nigeria, we have a central credit bureau system where the credit history of our customers can be verified. So we automated everything. There is no human touch in the whole process. The credit bureau leveraging on API. Once the credit bureau search is good, SMS goes to the customer and say, customer, you are qualified for this loan amount. It's important I also mention one of the strategic decisions we took in this project, because we also deliberate about growing our digital adoption. We introduced the use of our USSD channel, this 572 channel, for customers to apply or to accept the loan offer. So we send them SMS with containing the maximum loan amount and also instruction to tie the bank's USSD code. By the way, ASEAN Microfinance Bank Nigeria, we have successfully implemented various digital channels, mobile app, internet banking, USSD agent banking, and the like. But we realized that the majority of our customers find it more convenient using the USSD channel because of the demography of the type of customers we serve. So, and there is no need for data. So they apply via the USSD and say, yes, I want this amount. Recall, we are telling them the maximum amount they can get. For the pilot purpose, we did 50% increment from their previous loan amount if they are in A, but if they are in B, we give them 30% increment. That was the decision we took as management for a start, just to pilot. After the customer have applied, instantly, they get a splash on the screen. Congratulations, your loan has been approved. Visit any of our branches with your guarantor to sign the contractual letter as required by our process. And then once they sign that letter, the disbursement is done automatically. So improvements which this process have introduced to our existing process, customers do no longer have to bring documentations. It makes a lot of sense to reward loyal customers that have been with us. Some of them as much as 30th cycle, that's 15 years. Some of these customers have been doing business with us. We've assisted them in growing their business. So we know them. Why do we need to subject them to the documentations and the detailed evaluation? So this automated process makes a lot of sense. So for us, coming back to the signs we've already seen from this pilot, we've disbursed a little bit above 1,000 now. And just to say, we piloted with just one of our products, not the entire product. We piloted with a product we call My Own Loan. It's a working capital product, and it constitutes 65% of the loans we have in our active portfolio. So it makes sense to test with that. The success which we've seen. The next step, please, if you can go to the next slide. So I'll talk about our next steps. The next slide, please. Oh, thank you. So where we are with this project, at the moment, stakeholders were reviewing the impact. We got a lot of feedback from the portfolio managers, we call account officers, as well as the customers. Their feedback was very helpful, and we're already looking at ways we can further improve the process. We want to make that magic experience for our customers. So some little challenges we observed during the pilot period, we've also fixed it. The next step will then be management will review, then the technology team will further improve on the process. Then we'll then roll out to more products. Because we've tested with one product and we've seen signs of the type of results we desire, by the time we have extend it to more products, we hope that we will further be able to modify the KPIs of the portfolio managers so that they can focus more on growing the base, that is getting more new loans. If we are able to take care of the repeat loans, which is currently 80% of our loans, our target is at least, if we're able to get 65% of those, the 80%, go via the automated repeat process, the account officers will then have more time to focus on getting more new customers to enjoy the process. Then the customers are happy and they will keep taking more loans. And then, of course, it will have impact on the bottom line, but not just for the bank. Customers are able to get credits fast when they need it to support their business. They are happy, they don't have to go through a rigorous process. The retention, of course, will increase. So we're also discussing with Rubik's to see other value propositions, the benefits we can leverage, other products they have. And so far, a whole lot to share, but because of the time, I would like to pause here. Isabel, I don't know if the questions will be at the,
Yeah, that is great. Thank you so much, Peter. And certainly, I think the people in the audience can already get a feel for the impact that this has had on your business. I think one key stat that sticks is going from 48 hours to 3 hours for the turnaround time. That is pretty impressive. There are a lot of questions and comments in the chat that we don't have time to go through now, but I would recommend for people who have posted your questions there that either to continue those questions in the breakout session, if you end up going into that breakout session, or if you go to the business intelligence breakout session, to feel free to reach out to Peter and the AMFB team also in Nigeria directly. There is a lot of insights to be gained from what their experience has been. And Peter, if you can just look through the chat also right now and just answer the questions there, that would be great. So now let's move on to the experience of Shakti Foundation for Disadvantaged Women in Bangladesh. And Imran Ahmed is going to share with us his experience, or the experience of Shakti. So on this different topic of building on improving the data analytics and building the business intelligence practice and getting more visibility into measuring what value is really being created with the digital implementations. So Imran, I hand it over to you.
Excellent. Thank you, Isabel. I hope everyone can hear me.
Yes, very clearly. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you. Hi, everyone. My name is Imran Ahmed. I'm Deputy Executive Director at Shakti Foundation in Bangladesh. Shakti Foundation is one of the largest NGOs in Bangladesh. One of the pillars that we focus on is microfinance. We are a nonprofit. We have a portfolio of roughly $250 million. We serve about 500,000 clients, all women, or at least 99.5% women, through out of 504 branches with almost 6,000 staff. Our focus is purely on low-income women and poor women, and we focus on entrepreneurs. This CGAP experiment has really been part of our digital transformation journey. So Shakti Foundation is one of the first organizations in Bangladesh that has completely transformed from staff side to digital microfinance, right? What it means is my 504 branches are now paperless. My officers use apps to do their assessment, and then my system knows and collect data and all that stuff. So we are getting a lot of data from all over Bangladesh, and then now that we have the data, the question is, okay, how do we use that data, right? So that's the next step of the challenge that we are facing right now. And that's where CGAP very kindly engaged with us, because we wanted to understand how we are storing the data, how we are analyzing the data, how we are interpreting the data. Frankly, in Bangladesh, this is something that we are still learning and learning, quite a bit. So this is where, as Kay explained, the whole journey we have gone through this as well, where we wanted to learn, okay, what's our traditional customer and what's our digital customer, right? And it's very interesting for Bangladesh because what happened is, unlike many other countries, DFS, digital financial inclusion, at least for us, actually increased the financial gap between men and women. So if anything, and this story needs to be told as well, where men now had more access to finances compared to women because they have slower adaptability, right? So it's one of the very interesting stories, right? So then the challenge became that, look, digital customer, traditional customer, they're all important to us, right? We are a nonprofit. We don't want anyone to be left behind. Someone with a credit score, bad credit score, necessarily doesn't mean it's bad for us, right? We work with women. We want to help them, make them successful. So I think a huge understanding was, okay, the digital customer, how do we define them? The traditional customer, how do we define them? And then have an understanding that, yes, high tech is very important, but high touch is also very important for the world we live in, because about 60% of my clients actually have access to smartphones, right? So these are very basic limitations that we face. So we can become all digital, but if our clients are not adapting to that, then there is a huge problem. So that's when we decided that, look, one of the major value propositions we have is our clients trust our staff the most, right, to do their business. So can we make our staff very intelligent digitally, right, and smart digitally? That's where we got into partnerships with bKash, the largest mobile financial services provider. The idea is, look, doesn't matter if it's high touch, high tech, we provide digital financial services to our women clients and make them successful. That said, then the challenge became, okay, we have all this data, how do we start interpreting the data, right? That's where Mark, Kay, and the team came in. We came up with some hypotheses. Okay, first question I had for the team was, the data that we were collecting, does it even make sense? Interestingly, good news is, a lot of it makes sense, but also, not so surprisingly, some of the data didn't make sense. So for example, when my officers are now, we have a series of sectors, right? So let's say I'm giving a woman in Odisha, one of the regions in Bangladesh, loan in agriculture sector, but within agriculture sector, let's say homestead farming. But my officer is not entering the information properly, right? So some of these deviations came across very strongly, that we knew that in practical terms, this is happening, but the data entry was not being taken as seriously as it should. which was a massive learning for us, right? We are dealing with over 500,000 clients. So that helped us shape a lot of our training program so that people take it seriously, people understand the value of it. We are focusing a lot on our people and developing their skills, because if you enter junk data, you get junk output, right? One of the key points here. The second piece of it is, okay, how do you structure the data? Again, I think my team benefited tremendously, how to smartly structure the data, my IT team. And that was a huge, huge help. Probably it doesn't show that much, as Kay said, like this is very, it's not that visible, but it's highly useful, right? I mean, there are ways you can efficiently structure the data that helps with reporting. The third point was around, okay, can we test some problem statements, which we did, and then how do we visualize that, right? So interestingly, we saw that, okay, the cumulative collection of our traditional members piled up, it didn't make much sense. Then when we did a double click, we saw a lot of overcounting, even in our database that required cleaning, right? So this exercise actually made my internal database very, very powerful, right? Helped a third eye to actually clean the stuff so that the data we now use for interpretation makes a lot of sense. So of course, we went through the exercise, we debated, and that really helped my team, which was one of the greatest findings from this exercise for me, where my team started to see the power of data, right? How you use data to get results, right? And that's when we started saying, then, me and my ambitious manager, like, fine, this is actually fascinating. Can we push us a bit more, right? That's when we started to do some finer cuts of customer segments. And I'll give you a very specific example. That's when questions started to emerge. Okay, we are providing loans to all clients, female clients. Are there age correlation to good repayment rates, right? So is there anything about age and how that allows, does that have anything to do with how our clients repay? Very interestingly, at least in the context of Bangladesh, right? We saw that the more the age or the more mature that woman is, the better the repayment is, interestingly, okay? The second thing we found out is, if a woman is married, she's more likely to repay the loan than when a woman is not married. The third thing we found out is that when she has one child, she has more likely to pay the loan than she doesn't if she doesn't have a child. Guess what? If she has 2 children, she's even more likely to pay the loan than if she doesn't, right? So these are the things that we are now starting to build slowly, and we are taking our time. But what we are doing is, because we have a lot of data and we are continuing to build trust in our data, we are finding these things, and then sorry, I gotta move. Then we were finding this thing and we are testing it in the market, back in the market, because we can, right? That does it actually make sense? Is it actually happening? And so far, thankfully, with a lot of confidence, we can say that the data set, at least that we have over the last couple of years, are turning out to be actually quite strong, and we are getting increasingly reliant on the data, right? So what's in terms of next steps? Very similar to what Peter said, we are now focusing on moving forward repeat loans versus new loans. So I will reach out to definitely Peter later, because that's something that we want to get into, because we feel like in repeat loan, we can use data because we have a lot of existing data that we can rely on and get smarter and faster and be more intelligent in providing the loans. Whereas in new loans, what we're focusing on is a lot of the characteristics of the customer segment, right? Historically, which segments work for us, who has better behavior, who has better income generating activity experience. So these are the intelligent things we are starting to understand better. And hopefully with continued support of CGAP team, we want to achieve these goals. Isabel, this is where I'm going to stop. If folks have questions, I can always answer later.
Okay, great, thank you. So I'm sure there are a lot of questions and comments, but please hold these for the breakout session. So thank you so much, Imran. I think you've given us a really good example of moving from a state of a lot of data, but not a really good way to derive insights from this to being able to make better informed decisions based on the data that you already have. And those examples of the insights that you have learned are really great. So I encourage those of you who want to learn more about the experience of Shakti in business intelligence, but also the experience of other institutions that have participated in the pilots and that will be in that session, to please join us. We will have an opportunity to go deeper into the challenges that the institutions have faced, both in terms of data, in terms of skill sets, etc., and also get more pointers as to how the institutions have addressed those challenges. So now let's move to the slide, next slide. This is the time now to go into the breakout session. If you have burning questions on that you need to have answered in order to choose whether to go into breakout session 1 or breakout session 2, please feel free to raise your hand. But if not, if it's a question about what was presented or about the topic, please keep those and we will address this in the actual breakout sessions. So the way we're going to do this is that you are going to self-select. We do not have the ability to look at what you're putting in the chat and to orient you to the right room. So you will have to do it yourself. For the people who want to continue to talk about credit renewal automation, you don't need to do anything. You just stay here. This is breakout room 1. For the others, for those of you who want to learn more about the business intelligence, so what Kay and Imran just discussed, then you will please click on the link that Danielle just put in the chat, and this will take you out of this room and into the breakout session number 2. If you don't have the ability to see the chat for whatever reason, you can also type in the address that is currently on your screen. So with that, I will leave this room. I'm going to go to the breakout session number 2, and we will not be coming back as a group. We will finish the webinar in our individual breakout sessions. So for those, I want to say goodbye and thank you for those of you who are going to stay in this breakout session number 1. It's been really a pleasure to have this conversation and great to see so much interest. So please stay here for breakout session 1, and Danielle, I guess you will put up well, you have the slides up. But again, goodbye, and I'll see those of you who are going to business intelligence in a minute. Bye, everyone.